A piggy ball. A huggy dino. Lots of eggs. My goodness, there's so many eggs. And a main character with a bowl cut. Yep, this one's a little different. Hello and welcome to YesterYear's Mac Games, where today we're looking at footage I recorded in 2012. I planned to cover this back then, but got distracted by something or other and never finished it. Well, the other video I'm working on has been slipping, so I thought this rediscovered footage could become a nice quick bit of content to keep things ticking over. MozPong is a Breakout clone, marching onto magazine cover discs around about 1998. Mac format was one of them, which is how I came across it, and despite it not being the most feature-rich game like this, it was probably the Breakout clone I played the most. The visuals are incredibly twee, and the music, well, you'll hear that later. I decided to spare viewers of the little loop for the whole thing. So, what's going on here? Well, players control MozPong, the little fella at the bottom, with the mouse, who repeatedly headers Butasan, which is some sort of floaty pig sphere, and reminds me an awful lot of these things in Super Mario Sunshine. Butasan bonks around the screen hitting eggs, and hatching the chicks within. Whatever gravity status field they were suspended in is destroyed upon impact, and down they hurtle, for MozPong to catch. I'm not sure what sort of fate befalls those that are missed, but the caught chicks gradually stack up over here and provide score bonuses or power-ups for every 12 that are caught. Pretty straightforward Breakout then, although the biggest, greenest, grabbiest edition here named Josephine does tend to keep the player on their toes, popping up frequently to make an adorable nuisance of herself while MozPong attempts to get on with his job. A swift thwack on the head from Butasan knocks Josephine off her feet, enabling MozPong to dispatch her for about 15 seconds or so. A moderate annoyance at the worst of times, Josephine isn't really the hardest thing about the game, as Butasan speeds up as the level progresses and eventually becomes quite difficult to keep on top of, particularly in stages where wooden eggs have cornered off most of the targets, and the player is trying desperately to aim the pig sphere up a narrow chute. Power-ups make things easier, and include Big Head mode, which bashes Josephine away instantly. A wall of cut-out MozPongs, which usually save the ball if you miss it, and the Power Piggy, which increases the radius of eggs broken with every impact, and really speeds things up. There are a few bosses in the game which are also eggs. I've never gotten to any of them, so here's some very low-res screenshots I nabbed off the game's archived website. To assist in getting far enough to actually seeing them, the game helpfully allows players to start at levels that they have completed, up to a point anyway. There's also a scoreboard, and that's pretty much all there is to it actually, or so I thought. Turns out, having had a look on the net to see if there was any other info about this, the Macintosh version was only the first. MozPong DX came along later, and adds a bunch of features. Most notable are variants of Josephine. Donning a tutu, she prances around the screen here, and is completely invulnerable to Butasan mid-flight. Ninja Josephine can shift position in the blink of an eye, and can be quite tricky to second guess where she will end up. There's also a level editor, which is pretty sweet. I love it when games include these. The only problem I had with DX is that the mouse tracking is way too fast to allow much precision here, so catching chicks is a bit harder. Perhaps this is because I'm playing it on an XP machine, when it was made and tested on computers running Windows 95 and 98. Next, something I did find back when I first looked into this, is a version for Flash, which runs in a browser. I forgot to turn off the music in this recording, so this is what that sounds like. Visuals are more cartoony here, and the more complicated things from the DX version aren't present, but it's still pretty cool to see that the game got a new incarnation. It's just as fun. Another little find on the archived website was MozSlots, which took the characters, and added some others it seems, and plonked them on a slot machine simulator. Not necessarily very interesting by itself, but it's pretty cool to see that the creator, Akira Nagamatsu, was able to feature the cast in other projects. Are there any more? We may or may not find out. Ultimately, I have only good things to say about MozPong. Coming from Japan, where themes do tend to be a little more creative, or flat out random depending on the individual's opinion, this title plugs a hole in the Macintosh shareware library for light-hearted themes. The gameplay is solid. There's enough going on here to keep a player entertained beyond just a handful of levels, although a few like this one can drag on a bit. MozPong is definitely worth a try, and runs nicely under emulation for those without original hardware. Links to all versions are in the video description. That's your fill then for this edition of YY's MG. For more content on Mac shareware, check out the rest of my channel. Otherwise, pop your thoughts in the comments or on the Twitter, and subscribe to keep on top of new content. Thanks for watching.